Okay, so I should be live now. Um, so just want to know if everyone can hear me okay. Um, just gonna say hello, everyone. And think I'm gonna wait a bit to see if anyone else joins. Um, I know I'm not the most popular streamer. This is actually my first time streaming, so um, hopefully everything is going well. Um, just want to know, can you guys hear me? Can you guys, if I go here and start playing this audio, courtesy of Ren Harmonic, this is Creative Commons attribution, so as long as I attribute it to him, I should be able to play this on stream. Uh, so yeah, um, so yeah, I just want to make sure I'm not doing anything stupid, because that would be stupid. So I'm just checking here. I don't see anyone in chat yet, except 0.5 degrees, hi 0.5 degrees, and hmm. So it doesn't seem like that anyone is saying anything yet, so I'm not sure if you guys can actually hear me. So let me just double check if I'm doing something wrong. And let me just double check something. So, well, that's going to be a bummer. Okay, I'm going to have to do something real quick. Sorry about the scuffed stream. It should be obvious that I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh, okay. I had myself muted for a really long time. Sorry about that. Um, is everything okay now? I really hope it is, because if it turns out that nothing I'm saying is being heard, then that's going to be a big problem for stream. Says I only have one viewer. That's unfortunate. Let me just see. Okay, so I should still be audible, hopefully. But now I'm just gonna double check something here. And you won't be able to see what I'm doing, but I'm just double checking that I have an audience. Okay, so okay, everything's good. Okay, that's good. That means we can start. And I'm going to go over to this little window right here, and I'm going to see if I can show what our itinerary is going to be. So first I'm going to make this background black for dark mode. Then I'm going to make sure I have a nice color to write in. Actually, we don't need this title anymore, because you're going to be seeing this up here. So just 1 second. And now you should still hear me. Now you can see my Reaper here. And up here's where I'm going to write down what I want to accomplish today. And realistically, I'll be happy if I manage to just do at least one of the things I have planned. Gonna make this my favorite shade of yellow here. And so first of all, I guess I should explain first what this plugin actually is. So this is something I've been working on for quite a while. It's Spectral Retuner by user -1, and it has a crap ton of parameters. I don't even know if you could really see all of them clearly on stream because of the resolution. But basically, it's just a bunch of different controls for tweaking how a spectrum is retuned to a tuning and what all that entails. There's also some stuff that changes more amplitudes instead of pitches, like this spectral whitening parameter and the tilt for that. Let me just get my lovely spectrum analyzer here. I'm gonna make sure I float this effect so you can see it. So I have some test audio here that I can run through my Spectral Retuner, like this song by Ren Harmonic that I showed earlier. So that's what it normally sounds like, obviously. And if I take a look at this Spectral Retuner, you might not see it very clearly, but basically there's these tuning maps I can choose between. So there's an input map and an output map. So what I could do is, for instance, I could go from 12 Ito, which this is tuned to 7 Ito, but with 12 notes so that they all map directly. And then if I play this now, well, first I have to enable the effect. But if I play this now, you will hear that it's now tuned to 7 Ito, and you can even see up here all of the partials for that. Now, one of the things with this retuner plugin is I noticed that often it can sound very thin because it's trying to smush all those partials like right into the notes in the tuning, like even harmonics. So I have a few things here that try to adjust for that. For instance, this thing called bucket size, where it only moves the strongest partial out of a certain number of partials, and then it just tries to mute the rest. So that would sound like this. And you'll notice that that sounds a lot fuller than if I turn that off. But then I have this thing called retuning hardness, where instead of quantizing everything perfectly, the only pitches that will be quantized exactly to 7 Ito, or the output map, are the ones that are exactly in the input map. So as I turn this parameter down, you'll hear how that changes. So that's something interesting you can do. And then I have this whole section for trying to track partials or harmonics of an instrument. So and that's one of the things that I'm going to try address today, because I don't think my current implementation is actually that clever, because oh yeah, I also have to set like 3 different thresholds. And you'll hear then there's some weirdness that happens when there's like one instrument playing a note that coincides with a harmonic of another instrument, and then it sort of tries to track that. So the current implementation is very dumb, very simple, and hopefully I can fix that. So this is what we're dealing with. It is kind of close to done to being released, and then I can make a full video about it. But right now, it's kind of in a janky stage, I'd say. And there's a few more things I'd like for it to have for it to really be complete. So let's go back here. Oh, good question. Is the Spectral Retuner a standard Reaper plugin? No, it is not standard. It is a custom plugin that I wrote in JSFX, and I started on it like maybe I want to say like 6 months ago. When first I was trying to actually, let me show this real quick. So, bit of background on this plugin. I'm going to bring in new Firefox window. And I'm going to go to this lovely article, The Design of Signalsmith Stretch. So basically, this is an article about how this very clever DSP engineer, Garant Luff, came up with a different way of doing pitch shifting. And pitch shifting is very adjacent to what I'm trying to do. It takes an input spectrum with a certain, like, pretend this is an input spectrum and my fingers are the amplitudes. Bear with me for a second. And it tries to shift them upwards in pitch, which means technically it has to stretch things out in frequency. So this lovely article basically goes over a lot of different things that go into this library that Garant wrote to do pitch shifting and also time stretching. And pitch shifting is basically the same as frequency stretching, even though it's almost never called that. So basically, re-implementing this in JSFX. And for those of you who don't know, JSFX is a built-in programming language in Reaper that you can use to make your own audio effects. So you're going to be seeing some code here in a second. So that's how this started. I implemented the pitch shifting, not the time stretching though, and then I used that same concept to do the spectral retuning part of it. So let's go to our itinerary for what we're going to try to do today. And I don't know. Oh, there it is. So the first thing I want to do, and hopefully this is relatively straightforward. I actually haven't. Here, let's make that a bit smaller. Is I'm going to implement I'm just going to write shorthand because it's very hard to write with a mouse. So this stands for amplitude application, and basically to explain that, let me go back to Reaper here, and basically one of the features that this has is you also have to have the option to use the sidechain input to generate the tuning that it's retuned to. So let me demonstrate that here real quick. So I'm going to insert a new track, and I'm going to add the vital synthesizer, and let me see. I'm just going to have this playing like a major seventh. Let's just pick a... Yeah, sure. Let's just do B flat. Yeah, so if I mute that, then that's a major seventh chord. And what I can do now is I can open up my routing, make sure that's not actually being output, but then I can go here, and this already has 4 track channels, so I'm gonna add a receive from track 4, which is my synth, and I'm gonna have it go to 3-4, which is the sidechain input. And now that I've done that, I can go back to my effects, and this option, use sidechain for input-output tuning maps. First, I'm going to change that to solo peaks just to make sure that it's coming through. And it is coming through, so now I can say yes. and it will use the sidechain input to do the retuning. And then there's this border retuning threshold where it'll determine. So just to explain that, the sidechain input, it might not cover as much of the spectrum as the main input does. So what you can do is the parts of the main spectrum that are lower or higher than the bounds of this retuning map generated by the sidechain input, you can determine how far away from the tuning map does it have to be to just use the original pitches. So if I set that to the maximum, then that means it won't do that. It'll pretty much only retune to this. So now if I play this again, and it's a bit hard to hear because the major seventh chord has a lot of upper partials. So what I can do here is I can go back here, just delete those so that I only have one pitch, and then I can go back into Vital here real quick, and I'm going to choose basic shapes, and I can set that to a square wave so that we're only getting odd harmonics. And then when I play this, you'll see on the spectrum I can also like change the thresholding settings for the sidechain input. Like I can do this, and I can see if I can change some things here. So I can maybe increase the window to get rid of these parts in the middle. I can even turn it into this really sparse spectrum that looks like that. And I can go back to yes, and then oh, I think it's because we still have the partial lock on. That's why it's not completely retuning. So so you can hear there that it's using the sidechain input. So basically, what this first feature is going to be doing for us is it'll also, you can change the settings to where it also applies the amplitudes of the partials we see here. So you can see how they decrease like that, and the setting will make it to where you can basically morph between the original amplitudes of your main signal and these amplitudes here. So that's going to be a little bit tricky to figure out, but it's honestly probably one of the easiest things on the list today. So yeah, very exciting stuff to be doing incredibly complex coding. Let me just check chat here and see what you guys are saying. Can you do auto-tune to different pitches over time? So yes, you can sort of do that if you set up the partial tracking correctly, which is so basically, in terms of different pitches over time, like I have a little voice clip here that's not actually playing because it's retuning to a sidechain that has no notes. So what this means is I'm just going to go back here. Oh no, it's because it's soloing the peaks of a sidechain that's not playing. So I'm just going to say no, and I'm actually going to have it retune from 7-do to 7-do, and I'm going to set the amount to 0 so you can hear what the original sounds like. Wait, guys. I think I might actually have cooked. Yeah, so bit of a ridiculous thing I'm saying there, but if I tune the amount and hardness up, maybe increase the partial lock depth, increase the pitch deviation threshold, so how much the partials can deviate from their natural values to be tracked, and then change this threshold a bit. And then what I'm also going to do is going to turn these down temporarily, and then I'm going to turn down my spectral fullness so that I'm only getting the peaks of the spectrum that it's using to retune. Because one of the essential aspects of this retuner is that it only retunes like peaks of the spectrum, like basically local maximums of the spectrum, and then it just interpolates the rest. So here, if I play this now,
guys, I think I might actually have cooked for
you can
once
see
in my
how
life. I mean,
you can see how, or you can hear how it sounds a lot thinner because it doesn't have all of the noise that's filling in the gaps. So what I can do now is I can look at this, and then, well, I already have my window quite high, and just
wait, guys, I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go.
oh right, this is for the side chain, so I have to go down here. See, when you're making a big plugin, it's so easy to make dumb mistakes like
Wait,
this.
guys, I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go. Wait, guys, I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go.
Okay, so I'm not actually sure what's going on. Maybe I have to.
Wait, guys, I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go. Wait, guys, I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go.
Yeah, so it's not quite doing what I expected. So maybe that's something we'll look in today. Maybe it's not. But basically, all I'm trying to do is just make sure the input is as clean as possible.
Wait, guys, I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go.
So, yeah, I'll just turn this back up and demonstrate. Let's see how this looks.
Wait, guys. I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go. And it can actually auto-tune. I can go like
Yeah, so that's a demonstration of how it can auto-tune, like I was saying in the example. So yeah, let me just check chat again. I haven't even started any actual coding. I'm getting too distracted answering your pitches. Sounded like an underwater plastic bucket. Guess a mono sawtooth gliding between pitches will fix partials just right for a monophonic voice to be retuned. Yes, that was auto-tuned to 70 though. So yeah, I'm going to definitely look into a different partial tracking algorithm. So, but the first thing on the list is the amplitude application. And then next, yeah, it's going to be new partial tracking algorithm. And I'll explain what that is when I get to that point. I just want to start with this first. And then another thing related to that is quicksort, which you might be thinking that quicksort doesn't have a lot to do with this spectral retuner, but the reason I want to introduce a quicksort for the retuning is because this retuning algorithm can only do one-to-one mappings of a tuning. So, for instance, if say in the tuning map, 440 hertz ends up retuning to 432 hertz, then it can't have a point at 480 hertz that retunes to 420 hertz because then they're out of order. So just it doesn't work like that. It has to be a one-to-one mapping because what the algorithm actually does is it looks at the destination tuning, so that would be the 432 hertz and 420 hertz, and then it works backwards to figure out what the input frequency was that is being retuned. So that's why it has to be one-to-one, because if 432 hertz maps to, well, first of all, like if 400 hertz maps to 400, then 440 maps to 432, and 480 maps to 420, then there's going to be multiple frequencies that the output of 420 can map to. One is going to be somewhere between the input frequencies 400 and 440 hertz, because 420 is between 400 and 432. And then the next one is going to be 480 hertz, which 420 also directly maps to. So basically, that can't happen. So what the quicksort is going to do is it's actually going to sort the output tuning map so that all the frequencies are in order, and then it's going to adjust the amplitudes of the input so that it's as if we did a mapping of retuning that wasn't one to one. So it's a bit complicated, but basically it means that polyphonic sources will be retuned more accurately, I think. So that's all of that. So yeah, I have this, I have that, I have that, and then I think the last thing that I'll have to add before this is really done is this big scary thing called MIDI, where I'm actually going to allow for MIDI input to control how the retuning happens. And it's going to be complicated working with MIDI and audio in the same plugin, because I've only ever done MIDI only or audio only. So this is going to be pretty complicated, but hopefully not too bad. So let me click this little button called edit, and you guys will get to see what the code looks like. I'm actually going to make this bigger so that it's easier to see on stream, hopefully. Not really as practical for me, though, because I can see less on the screen at the same time, but definitely easier on the eyes. So, like, these would be all of the input sliders you see here, and there's like a bajillion of them. And then there's all of these functions. And I think how I'm going to approach this is, because this file is so large, I just have to sort of step through the main function that we're going to be working in, which is this one over here, process STFT segment. And I'm going to hopefully be able to remind myself of everything that's happening here. So we have our in scaler and out scaler. I believe these are just for the input pitch and the output pitch, because you can also change those to do pitch shifting stuff and also change how it retunes to the scale. So putting both of these in opposite directions basically just transposes these maps. Yeah. And then then we have the low limit and the high limit. Okay, this is maybe pretty straightforward. This is just reading in the sidechain information to use that for the tuning. So yeah, we have these things where we're calculating the exact frequency or we're calculating the exact bin that this maps to, because basically normally the FFT bins you'd get in an FFT algorithm, they would be integer values, but the exact frequencies could be like any rational value. So it's basically figuring out what the exact rational value is, or irrational. I mean, the exact real value that's may not necessarily be a whole number and is actually most likely not a whole number. Yeah, and basically just does this thing where if the middle bin is higher than its neighbors, then it's a local maximum, so it's a peak of the spectrum that it uses. Yeah, and then it does the stuff with the window. And basically how this works is I'm actually not quite sure what this part is doing exactly. I know it has something to do with these values. Yeah, so it's basically determining, like, I don't remember the exact details of the algorithm, but there was something about this where, as I was thinking about it, I thought this would be a clever way of getting rid of some of the peaks in the spectrum. And I'm starting to doubt myself now because, as you saw earlier, the windowing settings didn't really seem to do much of anything. So, not really sure what that's about. Yeah, and then yeah, it's here it adds these. It adds the exact frequency to the spectrum tuning. So that's pretty neat. Again, I apologize. This is a super scuffed stream because I've never streamed before, and I chose to stream myself working on a ridiculously complicated plugin. So, I'm not. Oh, I think I. Hmm. This doesn't seem quite right, actually. It should be setting. It should be rewriting the spectrum tune data and the output spectrum tune data. So, not really sure what I was thinking at the time. I think either this is a tiny oversight or I had a specific reason for not adding this line of code. Because basically, the spectral retuner, when I'm using the sidechain input, like normally, if I'm not doing that, if I'm just using predefined tuning maps, then you have the option to go from one map to another. Um, and then everything else just interpolates. But when you're using the sidechain, then the input and output tuning maps are the same. So theoretically, I should be resetting the data for both of these arrays in the program. So if I do that, and I'm just checking the chat here. Can I download JSFX development environment anywhere? So the development environment for JSFX, that is actually built in to Reaper. So whenever you add a plugin and then go to this JS category, you have the option to create a new JSFX. And if you have any JSFX loaded, like, let me just randomly pick this 4x4 EQ, you can click edit and it'll show you the code. And then you can directly edit that. But we're not interested in editing anyone else's JSFX. We're doing mine. So basically, if you have Reaper, it already has the JSFX development environment. Anyway, what we were doing here, coding. I want to click save on that, and then I believe what I want to do now is go back here. I'm going to solo the peaks of my sidechain again. Will the stream be published later? I believe it'll stay on YouTube after I'm done streaming. So you can watch me absolutely flailing to manage a stream. Anywho. Yeah, just make sure we're still listening to that square wave there. I can do that weird thing. And then I'm going to see how it affects our song here. And let's turn down the depth. Yeah, that seems like it actually has the effect that I was intending. So I think that little fix did need to be made. And I'm just going to hope that it doesn't break anything else. So going back to my development environment, and let me actually see if I can figure out what happened with this thing here. So if I go to
Wait, guys. I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, wait, guys. I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go.
Now doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Wait, guys. I think I might actually have cooked for once in
That's
my
really
life.
bizarre.
I mean, I can go. Wait, guys. I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go.
Okay, so something is very clearly broken later down the line, and I'm not even sure what it is. Because here, when I'm doing this is completely unrelated to this part where I'm using the sidechain input. And then this part of the code, this part of the this is just saving the input spectrum, and then I'm reading it in. And then this is the part where I override the spectrum with the peaks of the sidechain. And if then I don't do that, then I'm doing my peak detection on the main signal. This is just some deprecated part of the code where this variable is basically the same as this one now, but I don't want to bother changing it because there's too big of a risk that I could end up breaking something. Okay, so this is the peak detection, and okay, yeah, this is the part where I'm having a different value for the detection window. Let me see. Yeah, I still have that. It should be still doing the same thing. So I'm honestly kind of stumped as to what could have gone wrong here. It also doesn't help that this JSFX has a lot of code duplication because there's one part of the code that works on the left channel and one part that works on the right channel. And I haven't used this language enough to fully figure out all of its, like, all of the possibilities with polymorphism and whatnot. Hmm. Hmm. So it does seem to be working as intended, at least as far as I know. Oh, okay. So the window is looking at bins before a partial and after a partial, but not the partial itself. And then basically what it's looking at is like like the out of the sea of partials where there's a maximum energy and the average energy it has, it's basically determining is the middle one, which is not included in that maximum or average, does that middle one deviate more from the rest of the partials than the maximum partials of those deviate within themselves? I know that probably just sounded like just that's probably made you guys even more confused. But it makes sense in my brain, and um, the only problem is right now it does not seem to be working. So it does look like it's updating though. So I'm not quite sure if I yeah, I'm just not quite sure what could have gone wrong. Unless I forgot a semicolon somewhere and it completely changed the hierarchy of the code. But if I go back up here, yeah, this is completely unrelated, so I have no idea. Let me just recompile this.
Wait, guys. I think I might actually have cooked. Wait, guys. I think I might actually have cooked.
Yeah, this is really weird. Unless
Wait, guys. I think I.
no, that's not what I wanted.
Wait, guys. I think I might actually have cooked. Wait, guys. I think
Oh
I
yeah,
might.
the input and output pitch don't actually do anything if at to 0%. This still
Wait,
does
guys.
something.
I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life.
But this window and threshold, they don't seem to do anything.
Wait, guys. I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life.
Okay, just as a sanity check, I'm going to go up here and comment out the line that I added here, this one with the Spectrum tune data, and see if that actually fixes something. So, looks like it's still recompiled okay.
Wait, guys. I think I might actually have cooked for.
No, somehow this variable no longer does anything, which is super confusing. Because I think it was working earlier. Let me just check the chat again and see. Sounds like water running in the bath. Yeah, I don't know which part you were referring to, but I mean, you're not wrong. There are a lot of ways that a sound can suddenly sound watery out of nowhere. Just trying to get my bearings here. Yes, this is the part with the detection window. Oh yeah, what this is doing, this part is just repopulating the energy left and right bins with the values from the input peaks that it already detected. Then we have here, yeah, so it's resetting the peaks data and it's basically determining determining that determining whether this should be set to 1 or not. Yeah, so doesn't really look like anything in particular went wrong here, which is really confusing, to be honest. And that's why I imagine people don't like to program, because it just confuses them too much. Let's see. Yeah, so this is just clearing the peak data again. And it does the exact same thing for the right channel, so that's fun. Oh yeah, and this is all the code for the partial locking, which doesn't really seem to be that optimal, to be honest. Yeah, this part of the code is super confusing. Or it's confusing me why it's not working, that is. Because I'm looking here and nothing is really jumping out at me at being very obviously wrong. It's iterating through bin value. Trying to figure out. Oh, it is updating the current peak index. So that is iterating properly. Okay, so the bin value is just the reference peak index. Yeah, the one thing I really hate about programming in JSFX is that debugging is very frustrated. I mean, you can see here on the right of the code editor that it does show these variables and what their values are, but like looking at arrays of objects or like determining the value of a variable at a specific point in the code, like it's basically not going to happen. Like there's no way to print out debug information to a console. So that's frustrating. Then again, with JSFX, you don't really have to deal with really obscure and confusing compiler errors. Normally, it's pretty straightforward what has gone wrong when a program doesn't compile. But yeah, for the most part, JSFX isn't a sophisticated enough language for certain applications, in my opinion. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it, but it requires a mountain of work to do properly and to do well. And I really don't think my code is actually structured that well. But I just kind of have to work with what I have, unfortunately. So, all that aside, I think that somehow this variable just isn't being detected by the program. And that's really weird to me. I'm wondering if somehow maybe an internal state has corrupted the plugin to where it's not operating as it should. So let me just remove that instance and re-add it from my recently used collection. And then I can go back into the editor here. But what I really want to do is recreate the setup I had where I'm not doing any of the retuning amount and turning my spectral fullness down, and I'm purely trying to change the what peaks are being detected.
Wait, guys. I think I might. Wait, guys. I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life.
Hmm, it's still not doing anything.
I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go. Wait, guys. I think I might.
Hmm, that's interesting.
Wait, guys. I think I.
It works initially, and then after that, it stops working. So I think what could be happening is there's something that's not being updated properly.
Wait, guys. I think I might actually have. Wait, guys. Wait, wait, guys. Wait, guys. Wait, guys. Wait, guys. Wait, guys.
So, okay, so that at least solved part of the mystery um, as to what was happening. So, it seems that I have to check what is not being updated properly. So, I believe this is what I updated here. Let me actually double check this.
Wait, guys. Wait, guys. I think I might actually.
Let me actually take a closer look at the part where I sing a note. Okay, so it does kind of seem to be working, but in a weird, broken way. So, half broken, which I guess is better than full broken.
Wait, guys. I.
Let me actually see if I turn this threshold up.
I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go. actually auto-tune?
Okay. Um, Still don't know exactly what has gone wrong. Um, maybe maybe I want to change the algorithm a little bit, actually. Okay, no new chat. Um okay, I really have to check this ping here cuz it's really bugging me. So, uh I'm just going to disable this here for a second. Okay, so let's see if we can figure out exactly what's going on. Um Honestly, it might be an issue. My algorithm just might not be all that great. Um, you see, I'm doing it based on the difference between the max and the average energy. I might need to change that to max and min. So, I'll have to do that for the sidechain detection. You know, actually, I have an idea here. Um, I'm gonna copy this audio example and I will paste that in the sidechain channel. And then what I can do is I can do solo peaks.
Guys, I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go.
Oh, this actually solves a big mystery with this in that it works better for the sidechain for some reason than it does for the main signal. That's really weird, actually.
I think I might. Guys, I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go. Hey guys, I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. Hey guys, I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. Wait guys, I think I might actually have cooked for once in my life. I mean, I can go. Wait guys.
Yeah, so I'm just playing around with that a bit. So that's really interesting that this part of the code is working better than the other part because it looks like I'm using essentially the same algorithm. So that means there's something that has specifically gone wrong with the implementation of the main version. And I'm not sure exactly what that is. Maybe I'm iterating over the wrong amount of values. I'm going to be doing a lot of comparison probably between this version and the other version. So here in hmm oh yeah, I set the peak end indices here for the left and right channels. Um And then here I'm resetting peak data. You see. Oh wow, I've been streaming for an hour and a half now. That's crazy. And I've been stuck on like this tiny problem that's not even in the to-do list that I have. So I'm looking at the code here. So this is for the main input I see because I have all of these variables for left, which means the left channel, obviously. So I wonder, is there some variable here that I'm not resetting, which is causing the onset of the windowing to fail? Or the onset works, but then afterwards it stops working. Or is it because it's working independently for the left and right channels? That shouldn't be a problem in this case though, because the left and right channels are exactly the same because this is mono. It could be that I'm setting the energy wrong. So here it's getting the magnitudes and actually, let me see. That might actually be what the problem is. So see over here, yeah, here I'm adding the magnitudes for the side chain. Yeah, I'm still stumped as to what exactly has happened here. Because I'm using the same algorithm, apparently, and it's not getting the same result at all. Yeah, this stream is so scuffed, man, cuz it's hard for me to keep talking while I'm trying to process exactly what is going wrong here. Let me just double check, like.
Wait, guys. I think I'm.
Yeah, so that's with a detection window of 64 and then a threshold of negative 0.826. Sure, that's close enough. And I'm just going to say no.
Wait, guys. I think I might actually.
Yeah, it's. If I start right here. Compared to doing the exact same settings over here, the spectrum looks completely different. I don't suppose, I don't think it's an issue with the spectral. With that. That's very confusing. I'm not seeing anything obvious jumping out at me here that would make this not work. Let me just check the chat and see if anyone has. Yeah, there's a plugin called JSFX that can run JSFX programs in other digital audio workstations. So that's something pretty cool, I think. But uh, hmm. Yeah, I completely lost my train of thought there. Um, yeah, I'm really getting stuck on this issue here. This has become sort of a snag, and because it's completely derailed me from taking care of the other things in my itinerary. And honestly, I'm just not quite sure where to go from here. Because this is one of those cases where it looks like everything is working properly, but I just don't know what's going on here. I mean, like, I think I decently understand what the code is doing, but there's clearly something that has not updated correctly, and I don't know what or why or how. So, as much as I want to keep going and get to these other things, I think I'm gonna have to cut off the stream here. It's already been like almost 2 hours now, and I don't think I have it in me to keep going. But um, I hope you guys have seen that whenever this does get finished, it's going to be a really cool plugin, and it's going to have a lot of different use cases. It's just right now, there's just some issues with it that I don't have the capacity to fix yet. So, it's good seeing a couple of people in chat, even though wasn't really much people. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed the stream somewhat. I know I haven't done the best job of it, but hopefully with my talking I've kept things at least mildly interesting for a while. And yeah, there's a very good chance I won't be streaming ever again. But if I do, maybe I'll get farther along with this, or I'll do something completely different. Anyway, that ends the stream. So